A guy named Hachiman Hikigaya, who likes to keep things practical and prefers being alone, writes an essay about how he sees the lives of today's teenagers. His language teacher, Shizuka Hiratsuka, doesn't like it and punishes him by making him join a club at Sugu High School. The club only has one member, Yukino Shida, and Shizuka wants her to help Hachiman improve his social skills. This leads to a disagreement between Hachiman and Yukino, and Shizuka suggests they prove their ideas by helping people who come to the club. The next day, Hachiman finds out that Yukino, despite being beautiful, has been treated as an outcast. He understands her different way of thinking. Later on, Yu Yuigahama asks the service club for help in baking cookies for a friend. Yukino isn't good at teaching cooking, so Hachiman tries a different approach. He uses psychology to make Yu realize that just doing something for someone matters more than how well you do it. In the following week, Yukino and Hachiman discuss Yu's request and debate whether personal improvement is the main goal or if the rewards of trying to improve, even if you might fail, are more important. Afterward, Yu comes to the club and thanks both Hachiman and Yukino with cookies she baked herself. Shizuka scolds Hachiman again for making his biology report about not liking how social groups have a ranking system. Later, Yumiko pressures Yu for a direct excuse when Yu wants to have lunch with Yukino instead of sticking with their social group. Yukino asks Yu why she's late, but forgives her. Yumiko gets upset when Yu pays more attention to Yukino, and Yukino calls her out for being selfish. The tense atmosphere makes other students leave. Yu explains that meeting Hachiman and Yukino helped her realize she can be herself and not do what others want. Yumiko understands. The next day, a guy named Yoshiteru Zamakuza, who has some strange ideas, comes to the service club. After talking in circles about his showy personality, Yoshiteru asks for help reviewing a novel he wrote. Hachiman and Yukino stay up all night reading it and give their honest opinions the next day, which aren't very positive. Despite the blunt feedback, Yoshiteru accepts it sincerely and promises to have them review his next writing. Yui interrupts Hachiman while he's eating outside and happily talks about her growing friendship with Yukino. In gym class, Seika Tatsuka practices tennis with Hachiman and asks him to join the tennis club. Hachiman asks Yukino for her opinion during the next club meeting, but Seika comes and asks for help practicing tennis for a few days. While they practice during lunch, Yumiko and her friends want to use the tennis court, ignoring that Seika has permission. Hayato suggests a doubles match to decide who gets the court. The match is Hachiman and Yu versus Hayato and Yumiko. Yu hurts her ankle, so Yukino takes her place. Yukino dominates the match but gets tired and lets Hachiman take over. Hachiman uses his knowledge of sea breezes to make his last two serves and win the game. The spectators ignore the service club's victory when Hayato saves Yumiko from getting hurt by the final serve. On the way to school, Hachiman and his sister Komachi talk about a car accident he had on his first high school day. Later, Shizuka scolds Hachiman for his career choice and reminds him to pick a group of 3 for a field trip. The service club gets a mysterious message. Hayato asks them to stop the message that portrays his friends Kakeru, Yamato, and Oka as troublemakers. The club connects the message to the field trip and figures out that one of the 3 plans to eliminate another to be in a group with Hayato. Hachiman and Yu gather information, but Yu fails because she's not subtle. Afterward, Hachiman watches Hayato's friends, and Seika interrupts him. Hachiman solves the mystery when Hayato joins them. Hachiman explains the close relationship between Kakeru, Yamato, and Oka. He suggests that Hayato leaves their group to let them bond. Hayato thanks Hachiman and joins him and Seika for the field trip. Shizuka gets mad at Hachiman for being late to after-school classes. He goes to a cafe and meets Yue, Yukino, and Seika. Komachi and her friend Teishi Kawasaki join them. Teishi is worried about his sister Saki's late-night activities, so the service club decides to find out what's going on. They try different plans to approach Saki, but all fail. With Komachi's help, they discover that Saki works at a cafe at night. They find her in a fancy hotel bar in Chiba. Tensions rise between Saki and Yukino when they learn Saki lied about her age to work there. Saki meets with the group the next morning, and they learn she's saving money for college. Komachi tells her she shouldn't have worried Teishi, and Hachiman suggests applying for a scholarship. Later, Komachi shocks Hachiman by revealing that Yui is the owner of the dog he saved in the car accident. Thinking Yui only acted friendly out of guilt, Hachiman ends their friendship during the field trip. Yu stops coming to the service club meetings and seems to quit after a disagreement with Hachiman. Shizuka asks them to find a new third member. Yukino suggests celebrating Yu's birthday to get her back into the club. On the weekend, they go to the mall to shop for Yu, but don't find much. They settle on trendy accessories until they meet Yukino's older sister, Haruno Yukinoshita, who playfully teases them. To their surprise, Yu also shows up, and Yukino invites her to the next service club meeting. At the meeting, Yukino explains they wanted to celebrate Yu's birthday and thank her for what she did for the club. Hachiman takes the chance to clear things up with Yu, saying she doesn't owe him anything and shouldn't feel sorry for him. Yu says she never thought she pitied him, but it's a complicated situation. Yukino helps mend things by suggesting they leave the past behind and start fresh, and they agree to do that. Hachiman is on summer break, trying to relax and ignoring messages from Shizuka about service club stuff. Shizuka finally gets him out and takes the service club and other Sugu High students to a park in Chiba for an elementary school summer camp. During an event, Hachiman and Yukino see a girl named Rumi being ignored by her classmates. Hayato tries to help, but it doesn't work. Rumi talks to Hachiman and Yukino about her problem, and Yukino says it might get worse in middle school. That night, the Sugu group tries to think of ways to help Rumi. Yukino disagrees with an idea from Yumiko, causing tension. Unable to sleep, Hachiman finds Yukino in the woods. She wants to help Rumi because she sees a bit of Yu in her and shares some history with Hayato. Unable to sleep, Rumi sits by a stream under the starlight. The summer camp goes on, and Shizuka asks the Sugu group to get ready for a test of courage and bonfire at night. After preparing, the Sugu girls relax by a river, and Rumi joins Hachiman on the bank. He talks about how it's hard to keep old friendships as you grow up. Rumi says she gave up on making friends because of how others treated her. To help Rumi, Hachiman suggests making a conflict within the group that ignores her. This would show their true loyalty and break their ties, shifting the focus away from Rumi. The plan seems to work during the test of courage, but Rumi saves the girls in a surprise twist. Later, at the bonfire, the Sugu group realizes Hachiman's unusual plan made the girls split after betraying each other, slightly improving Rumi's situation. The camp ends the next day. When Haruno comes to pick up Yukino, Yui and Hachiman recognize the Yukinoshita limousine as the one that hit Hachiman in the accident. Yu thanks Hachiman for helping with her dog by inviting him and Komachi to the summer fireworks festival. Komachi decides not to go, giving Hachiman and Yui a chance to go together. On the festival day, they try to make things less awkward by shopping for items for Komachi. During the fireworks, they meet Haruno, who talks about the complicated relationship between her and Yukino. Haruno mentions Yukino's involvement in the accident, but Hachiman ignores it. Later, he takes Yu home, and she wishes they could express their feelings openly. Yu admits she would have been friends with Hachiman even without the accident, but he disagrees. As school starts again, Hachiman realizes he was wrong to believe Yukino couldn't lie since she claimed not to know him at first. Shizuka picks Hachiman to represent Class 2F at the Cultural Festival Committee. Hayama suggests Minami Sagami as the female representative, and she volunteers to be the committee chair to grow. Later, Minami asks Yukino to help her, and Yukino surprises everyone by doing a great job. Meanwhile, Hina Ebina manages a stage production, and Haruno wants to do a musical. Minami suggests enjoying festival preparations, but Yukino thinks handling logistics is more important. More than half of the committee follows Minami's idea, leaving the rest with a tough job and lots of paperwork. The next day, Yukino takes on most of the work. When Hayato criticizes her, Hachiman shifts the blame to the members who left. Later, Minami passes most of her duties to Yukino and helps other classes. With too much paperwork, Yukino takes it home and doesn't come to school the next day. Hachiman and Yu visit Yukino and find out she worked too hard and got exhausted from doing most of the festival work. Yu scolds her for not asking for help, and Hachiman agrees, saying that in a perfect world, people should rely on each other. But he's not sure if it's the right thing to do. The next day, the festival committee tries to come up with slogans that show unity. Hachiman cleverly suggests using the kanji for people to point out the unfair division of work that Minami introduced. The committee doesn't like it, and many people spread rumors against Hachiman. The Sugu High School Cultural Festival starts later, and Minami struggles with her opening speech because of stage fright. Despite that, the festival is a success, especially Haina's yaoi stage production. Hachiman takes a break, and Yui joins him for lunch. She explains that she decided to wait for Yukino to open up to her and wants to strengthen her bond with Hachiman. Meanwhile, Minami locks herself in the bathroom, embarrassed by what happened. Subu High's cultural festival goes on, and Hachiman is busy taking pictures to document the day. Komachi shows up and is surprised that her brother is taking responsibility. As the festival nears its end, Haruno impresses everyone with a full orchestra performance. But during the closing ceremony, Meguri tells them that Minami is missing. Since she needs to give the closing speech, they decide to stall for time while Hachiman looks for her. Hachiman finds Minami on the lab roof. She's upset because Yukino stole the spotlight, even though Minami asked for her help. Hayato and Minami's friends try to get her to come back, but she refuses. Hachiman uses reverse psychology and Minami's real social situation to convince her to do her duty, which makes Hayato angry. The festival ends with extra musical performances and Minami's closing speech. People have mixed feelings about what Hachiman did, but Shizuka praises him for always finding a way to help people, even if it means sacrificing himself. In the evening at the service club room, Hachiman and Yukino talk about how they'd come to know each other. Yukino hints that they've become friends. Yu comes to invite them to an after-party hosted by Hayato to celebrate the festival's success. Hachiman wonders if their views on society, which are different from others, will continue to be seen as deviations.